We are back, 9:05, rolling into hour number 2 in the Rollo Insurance Studio, 888-44-ROLLO, RolloInsurance.com. Gabe Bock with you. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers on the phones at 693-1150. One number to call or text, 979-693-1150. When you text, we want your first name and your location, please. And we're always looking for text of the day, and we reward one of you each day handsomely for being the best texter of the day. Birthday girl Taylor Couch is in the social center handling all of those text messages. And we're flipping the script right now and getting away from this Aggie football and recruiting. We'll go all back to that. Nothing but recruiting in the third hour with Ryan Browninger, Recruiting Country. Now, we might talk a little recruiting, but of the diamond variety, talk a little baseball, the here and now, look back on fall ball, talk a little recruiting class, and look back on last season once again with our man Heath Clary, TexAgs' own Heath Clary, contributor with us, and author of the book that we discussed 2-3 weeks ago, All It Takes is Everything You've Got, a season inside one of college baseball's best programs. What this is an unprecedented inside peek, in case you weren't here and you didn't listen to the interview before, an inside all-access kind of peek into what a college baseball program goes through on a day-to-day basis, because he was there day-to-day, from the fall through the winter, through the spring, all the way through the end of the season. Heath Clary's with us right now talking about the book and much, much more. How are you, Heath?
Doing great, Gabe. Part one was pretty good, I felt
Part one was fun, yeah. Now, we did that right basically on release day or shortly after the release of the book, which you can get at heathclary.com or aggiebaseballbook.com. How have sales gone? How'd you feel like that initial wave went for you?
Very good. The first day was amazing.
Good.
Thanks a lot to you, of course, getting on this show. And then pretty much every day we have a few more sales, but really I think it's just the tip of the iceberg. Once spring gets here and the Aggie faithful starts focusing on baseball, waiting for the season to start, I expect even more.
One thing that's really neat is one of our big partners, Aggieland Outfitters, in a week from Friday, right? So next Friday, you're going to be doing a book signing at Aggieland Outfitters, which is perfect timing because there are waves. When you first release the book, okay, there's an initial wave or an initial promo push, and you're trying to get the word out. And people respond. You're hoping people respond like crazy because all the work you put into it, and a lot of them did. And then, of course, you're going to get one when the season starts. Hopefully, you'll be setting up shop out there and selling to Aggies. That's your primary target.
Right.
People who go to Aggie baseball games might be interested in a book, inside look at Aggie baseball. But this is beyond more than just for Aggies. It's a great look for any college baseball or sports fan, Heath, but it's that Christmas push. Now's a good time. You're looking for a stocking stuffer for the Aggie that you love. All it takes is everything you got. It's a great idea for you, I think.
No, I agree. And we hope it happens, and Christmas Day push, and then also the spring when the baseball season gets here.
Well, let's get into it. Now, we covered a whole bunch of stuff in the first time we had you on, but we didn't even – it was just like the tip of the iceberg. There's so many stories and interesting little details in the book. So what I don't want to do is just kind of do the exact same interview as before, because there are more stories and interesting details. Now, we will package last interview and this interview together. So if you want to hear a little more about the story and how Heath even got the opportunity to follow the team on the inside, where he was – I mean, you couldn't turn on one of those TV broadcasts without seeing Heath in the dugout. Every time they show Rob, he's right behind. Every time they show the players, there's Heath. I mean, it was an incredible inside look that I've never seen before, and frankly, I don't think has ever happened around a college program, and particularly college baseball. So what are some of your favorite stories? Maybe your favorite story that we didn't get into last time.
Well, I like the one with Jeremy McMillan.
The strength coach.
The strength coach.
Yeah.
Because you never hear about that. I was following the program pretty closely for 3 years, never even sent a whiff of it, So Jeremy McMillan, in around 2011, Texas A&M goes to the College World Series. And at that point, really no college baseball team has a strength coach that's focused, dedicated solely to baseball.
It's probably one of the assistants that can do football, and then they cross over and go do baseball. Right.
So
but they don't have their own – a lot of them don't have their own weight room, things like that.
Well, in 2011, A&M had built their own weight room for the baseball program.
Right.
Coach Childress, he's thinking, all right, we have this Taj Mahal new massive weight room. We got to get somebody for just baseball. Mm-hmm. So he goes to Bill Byrne, and he says, can we do it? Bill Byrne says, okay, you can. And he puts out the application. He gets a lot of people interested. and he's talking to Harrington at in San Marcos at Texas State, and he says you got to check out Jeremy McMillan.
How did Ty know Jeremy McMillan?
Because he was at Texas State,
okay,
doing 4 sports, but he got burned out, and so he was working for the Rams, NFL Rams.
Okay, so he changed totally because at a small school, kind of like being an SID at a small school, you're going to do every sport. I mean, It's hard to just stay with it energy-wise. So that's what he was doing. He was doing so many sports. He was running all over that campus every single day trying to keep people in shape and build up everything else that he got burned down, decided to fully change and go to the NFL and football. So he's with the Rams whenever Rob gets this idea that you might need to reach out to this guy.
So then he talks to McMillan, right? He likes what he sees, and he says, can you come down for an interview? And so he says, sure. Well, then out of the blue, Coach Childress gets a call from Steve Spagnuolo.
No way.
Who's the head coach at the time of the Rams.
Yeah, long-time defense coordinator.
And I think there were some choice words that were used saying, don't go after my guys. So
this
staff.
wasn't a friendly conversation.
I don't think, not the way that Coach Childress remembers it.
Okay. So he's aggressive on the phone.
So Coach Childress calls McMillan back and says, I understand it. So Spagnuolo had said if he goes to Texas, make sure he just stays there because he won't have a job when he comes back.
So if he even interviews, keep him there because he's not going to be able to come back to St. Louis at the time, right?
Yeah. And so Coach calls McMillan and he says, I'd like to come have you down here, but I understand if you don't want to. And he said, I'll see you Tuesday. He's coming. So Coach Schiller said right then he knew that was the guy. Because if he had that confidence in himself that he would get the job, that he's the guy he wants leading his strength program. And since then, other programs have, I think, gotten a guy solely baseball, but McMillan's still one of the best, and he's really built up that blue-collar mentality that I focus on in the book.
Well, you really do, and Rob needed somebody like that. Rob needed somebody that was an extension of himself because you have to have that as your strength coach. It's got to be an extension of the head coach, and the head coach is setting the culture and tone, but the strength coach is with them more than the head coach even, and Rob's very hands-on. He's with these guys as often as the NCAA is going to allow him to be there, but McMillan's with them more.
Yeah.
And you got to be an extension of Rob, and he found a perfect mix with McMillan.
Right.
He's been here ever since.
And because like right now is over the winter, the strength coach can be with them.
That's right.
But not Coach Childress and the hitting coaches and stuff. So McMillan's right there. He's got the blue-collar mentality just like Childress. Quoted Ross Stripling and Tyler Naquin in the book in that chapter, talking about how, the previous coach they had was great, but they were doing the same workouts that the defensive linemen were from the football team.
Yeah.
So McMillan brought a really baseball-specific type work, and it was something that they could recruit to as well back then because it was a guy who was going to tailor their workouts just to maximizing their baseball abilities.
You devoted a whole chapter to blue collar, and quite frankly, I know for a fact there are some guys who've gone to Baylor or TCU or other quote-unquote country club atmospheres. Right. Not that they're bad coaching staffs, not that they're bad cultures, not that they're bad programs. I mean, they win.
Yeah.
They win as much as A&M a lot of times or more in some occasions, but it's a different culture. And this program and the way they work is not for everybody.
Right.
But those who do buy in, Heath, and you wrote about it, let's talk about blue collar.
Yeah.
Because those who do buy in, when they're 25, 30 and they're coming back, they credit Rob for how much they had to work because they had to dig deep just to get through it.
Well, Tyler Naquin told me, he said, some people will still to this day come and say, isn't A&M known for their hard falls workouts? Like a lot of people don't even want to go. And Tyler Naquin says, yeah, but I'm proud to go through it. And if it's not for you, well, we don't want you anyway. We want guys who are going to be sold out to be in blue collar, to be in hard workers, and going the extra mile.
Here's Tyler Naquin, who's in the book a lot, and he's a big leaguer. Tyler Naquin, on many occasions, now sometimes he's out doing other stuff, fall in, stroke, whatever. He's rehab a year here and there, but most of the time he comes here and he clocks in, and he brings breakfast and lunch. And he goes through the same stuff, and he's out there practicing with the baseball team on occasion in his baseball pants. I mean, this is a guy who has this is just one example of a guy who's totally so bought into this blue-collar mentality and the fact that it got him to where he is now that he still comes back here and works out and is an example and another extension of what Rob's trying to do culturally.
Yeah, well, his dad, he grew up watching his dad lay wood floors every day, so that really rubbed off on him. And actually – before the season started, Naquin came back and talked to the team, gave him a very good talk.
Yeah.
And so I highlight Naquin kind of in that chapter as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, him and Stripling probably the two best players from A&M to come out of that program in the big leagues, and guys having a lot of success.
You highlight both of them in the book. The book's called All It Takes Is Everything You Got, A Season Inside One of College Baseball's Best Programs. Heath Clary. You can go to heathclary.com or aggiebaseballbook.com. If you want to talk a little baseball with us, the here and now, recruiting, so that's the future, or a look back on last season, or anything and everything Aggie baseball related, he's with us until a little after 9:30. 693-1150, 12th Man Technology Hotline, Commerce National Bank text line. If you want to talk specifically Aggie baseball with us, you got a question about the book or anything. I love the docs portion of your book, and you go back to him a lot, and you got a specific chapter with the Auburn, his couple of outings against Auburn. But I tell you what, docs, and I've always thought this, and you wrote it, is basically the quintessential Rob Childress pitcher. If he's looking for a perfect example of what he's looking for mentality-wise, and probably build-wise, and what he does stuff-wise, and pitchability, John Doxakis is the shining example of that.
Yeah, he really is. And a guy who didn't throw very hard when they were recruiting him, probably mid-80s.
Yep.
By the time he gets to A&M, he goes up to the 90s, of course. But, a guy who throws the fastball, wipeout slider, left-hander, which Coach Childress loves.
Yep.
But just really the fiery competitiveness is how I would describe it. And him and Coach Childress had some dust-ups early in his career because he didn't know how to use that fieriness to the right way. Right, he would try to throw hard, or he would try to do this or that, but he wasn't channeling it the right way.
That's why you would see if one or two guys got on, he would lose the inning.
Yep.
And a lot of times he would lose his outing.
Yeah, and he would get angry, I think.
Yep.
But then he realized he matured and he got better. And then last year he puts on one of the best displays of pitching over the course of the year that Childress has ever had. I think Coach Childress would tell you he's one of the best pitchers he's ever had in 30 years of coaching and one of the truest competitors.
Yeah, and he's had a bunch of them. I like how you get to know the guys in this book. You do a profile on Braden Shoemake. You do a profile on John Doxakis. We get to know more about Asa Lacy and these guys. And what I like about it is you get to know Bryce Blom a little bit, and he's coming back as the leader of this year's team. So if you're an Aggie, you can dive into this book and learn about what this year's leader looks like through reading a lot about last year's Bryce Blom in his second year in the program, first year playing.
No, definitely. All the players who are coming back, the more important ones, of course, and some of the other ones, but you get to learn all about them, kind of how they got to where they are today. And I think that's why, even if you're not a diehard baseball fan, if you're just a sports fan in general, getting to see how the program comes together and all the pieces and how the players got there is going to be very compelling.
Yeah, I agree. How they got there is important too, because I've always said you got to be smart, way smarter than I could be. You got to be a mathematician to figure out how to recruit in college baseball. You're bound to 11.7 scholarships. You can only have 27 on aid. You can only have 8 walk-ons, no more. You can have less than that, but no more than that. And then there's a minimum limit to anybody on aid that you can give.
Yep.
So you can't just load up on one guy and then give guy only books anymore. I mean, you got a minimum limit and but a maximum total of 11.7 scholarships to split between 27 players. So that you dive into that a little bit, what it was like to recruit specifically Zach DeLoach, who a lot of people wanted. And I thought that was a pretty interesting part of the book too.
So I do profile DeLoach just to kind of give an example. His had all the features, I guess, big time recruit, getting him to commit to A&M in the first place, and then also getting him to campus once he's flirting with the big league draft.
Yes.
Right? Because that's a big part. You can recruit, 10 studs, but if 6 of them get drafted, your class is not as good.
Right.
So that's a part of it too.
It's so hard.
But the thing that's crazy to me is you have 11.7, but you're recruiting 3 or 4 classes in the future at the same time.
You have to project.
I don't know how Coach Seeley does it, to be honest.
I don't know how you do it, because if you just go off your top 10 in-state list, you're going to lose all of them to the major leagues. I mean, you've almost got to recruit pretty, really, really, really good, but not great.
Yep.
That's so hard. But then you got to project when he's a 10th grader, is he going to get drafted or not?
Yeah, which you can't.
And on signing day, Seeley's like, I don't know about DeLoach. I mean, we may lose him in the second or third round.
Yeah.
So you have to sweat that stuff out all the way to the bitter end.
Yep.
That's what's so interesting about it.
And he did get called. DeLoach did in the third round, but it wasn't enough money, so he didn't do it. But then you have so many guys who, when Seeley gets the commit in, say, 10th or 11th grade, it's no problem. And then they break out as seniors like Thompson did, and then you lose them. And it's like, well,
to the draft.
We didn't know that at the time, but that's just how it goes.
Yeah. The Nacogdoches kid, you didn't know he was going to throw 101 miles an hour when he
Grayson Rodriguez.
Yeah. He's probably going to be in the big leagues this year at 20 years old.
And he grew, too.
Yeah.
So
it's tough.
Recruiting. It is the lifeblood of college baseball, like any sport. But I think it might be harder even in baseball than other sports.
Oh, it's undoubtedly the hardest sport to recruit. Undoubtedly, hands down. With all those factors you got, with all the scholarship limitations combined with the draft element, there's no question it's the hardest.
Yeah.
It may not be as cutthroat, but it's still very cutthroat. But it is absolutely the hardest to recruit. We'll take a time out. We're with Heath Clary. The book is called All It Takes Is Everything You Got, an inside look at 2019 Aggie Baseball. Let's go here and now a little bit. We'll take some of your questions if you got them, maybe another story or two, but a look back at the fall and the future with the 2019-2020 signing class that Heath actually depicted and wrote about. He got some quotes from Childress and Seeley and wrote about on TexAgs.com, but you can go back and check that out as well. We'll take a break. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, and a quick moment for Caldwell Country Chevrolet, just a conversation away in Caldwell and in Rockdale for Fords and Caldwell for Chevrolets, new and pre-owned. Now, all makes and models, anything pre-owned. So if you're looking, it's time to upgrade. Christmas season's a good time to do it. Like you go and you're shopping for clothes, you're shopping for gifts, you're getting a lot of good deals right now around the Christmas season. Same can happen for you for cars. So go reach out to my man, Zach Hester, Austin, the whole crew. Tell them you're interested in upgrading and see if they can work a deal with you this Christmas season. They'll always give you great consideration on all your trade value as well with your vehicle, and they're just good people at Caldwell Country and over at Rockdale. Good people, so involved in both of those communities, and their involvement extends all the way beyond Bryan College Station as well. They support so many clubs and charitable organizations, and I think you can tell a lot about an organization and where their heart is and what they care about by the pocketbook and the things that they support. In the community, Caldwell Country does it better as well as anybody. Caldwell Country Chevrolet, just a conversation away in Caldwell and Rockdale. Tell them Gabe sent you. Go to caldwellcountry.com. Hey, welcome you back. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Gabe Bock and author Heath Clary in studio, the Rollo Insurance Studio. 693-1150 on the phones, 979-693-1150. You know, the rise and fall, the thrill of victory, the agony of defeat. The book is obviously going to end. You're depicting the entire season, 2019. You wish they had made a run and gotten to Omaha, and that you're probably sitting there thinking when Blom hits the bomb, like it couldn't be any better. You love A&M, but also for the book. But then, of course, this might be the start of something special. And, of course, the very next game they lose to Duke and it's over. You look at all of that, and there's some compelling elements to the agony of defeat as well, which you wrote about.
Yeah, so when Blom hits the home run, amazing comeback, 7 or 8 runs.
Yeah.
And, yeah, we felt like in the dugout that we're not going to lose again. But, Duke was very good. Mm-hmm. They pitched very well and didn't get but Jaws threw a great game, but it wasn't enough. I captured it all in the book. It does come to a disappointing finish, there's no doubt. But that's just how it happened.
Yeah.
No, can't complain about it.
And then the epilogue sort of just takes a little quick peek ahead, and things are going to look a little bit different around here because you don't have Will Bolt anymore. You've got a brand new offensive philosophy with Chad Kaye coming in from Southern Miss. We got our first look at Chad Kaye this fall. What did you see? What do you think is going to look differently offensively? Because, quite frankly, things do need to change offensively if you're going to try to compete for championship.
Right. They're going to play faster. Kaye is big on aggressiveness on the base paths and just playing faster. I think he's going to work more in the swing with the guys, make more adjustments with the swing than Bolt did, which is a different philosophy as well. And, we just hope that it yields positive results, and I think it will.
Yeah. I like the early returns from this guy. He's a high-energy guy. He's in the cage with these guys all the time. Mm-hmm. I like how hands-on Chad Kaye is. I'm interested to see how it all shakes out on offense.
And if anything, it's just a fresh look, a change. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you need a different voice after 5 years, and we'll see what happens, but I'm optimistic.
I am too. They're going to pitch it. I think you lose John Doxakis, you lose your closer, but I think A&M's got a chance to pitch it better than they did last year because of continued development, year older, more healthy Move Menifee. helping the back end of the pen. A second year in the SEC, Bryce Miller in the back of the pen. You hope that Jonathan Childress could come back, and then Lacey's back on a money year. Christian Roa is probably the most improved player in the program from the time he got here.
Yeah, Roa's been outstanding. Added a few miles an hour.
Yeah,
still got the filthy off-speed stuff. That's last year we may have had the best 1-2 punch in the SEC, and with Roa filling in for Docs, we might have it again.
I mean, this guy didn't give up a run in the fall. He walked, one, and gave up just a couple of hits, just a smattering.
And a bunch of strikeouts.
Ton of strikeouts. You would talk 1-2 punch right there. Now, there's going to be a heck of a battle for the third spot, but I think we got a pretty good idea. Lacey Friday, Roa Saturday, and then Weber, Jazawa. I mean, you're going to have a lot of guys battling for that Sunday spot.
Yeah, I'd say Jaws would have the lead, but then, what are you going to do with Moo Menifee?
Yeah. Exactly.
You want to keep him in the pen. You want to start him on the weekdays. You want to let him fight for the Sunday job. I don't know. Coach Childress will have to make that decision. And then you've got Jonathan Childress, who was pitching as good as anybody before he gets hurt last year, and he's going to be back to start the year.
Well, he was your Sunday starter as a true freshman, then goes down with Tommy John.
Yep.
And he had Tommy John a little bit in the calendar year prior to when Moo Menifee had it in high school, and he benefits from having a college weight training and rehab program where Moo had to do a lot of that while he was still in high school, and then the summer coming in here and adjusting to everything. So he's a year older in the process than Moo was. Now Moo's one heck of he's a horse, right? So he was able to overcome it and give A&M a huge shot in the arm as a freshman. The hope is, at minimum, Jonathan Childress can give you what Moo Menifee gave you last year. And if he could do that, then you'd have the benefit, if you got Childress in the sort of back end of the pen and a setup role, had the benefit of letting Moo start because he's as talented as anybody that would be vying for a starting spot in the rotation.
Yeah, I mean, it's, again, a stable of arms, I would say. And then you've got some of the new guys, too, who we'll see how they do. They look good in the fall.
Who was number one among the new guys, you think?
I think some of the freshmen were very good. Maybe Mayfield or a couple of the other ones.
Yeah. I think they've got a chance.
The guy from Nebraska. Cam Wynn.
Well, he throws a mile. I mean, this guy throws 100 miles an hour. It's just like, is he gonna? He literally throws 9,900 miles an hour. It's just whether or not this guy can locate it, and that's what Rob's good at.
Right.
Rob's really good at getting you pitchability and finding a second pitch. Cam Wynn came here to learn both of those. So we'll see how quickly that sucker can develop. How about the signing class? Because you did the story for us. Who do you think's the cream of the crop in the signing class? Who do you need to sweat out probably through the draft in an effort to get all these guys on campus?
I'd say Taylor Smith, the catcher. He's from Georgetown, played at Incarnate Word for 1 year.
Yep.
Killed us. They beat us, but he killed us. Got 3 hits, I think.
Yep.
And he transferred after 1 year. He led the Southland Conference in home runs, hit over 300, 50 RBIs. Great year. Yep. Freshman of the year, I think.
He's in my hometown right now, I think, at Grayson.
Yeah, he is.
Yep.
And we'll see what happens. He's going to have a decision to make. Does he want to come play a year in the SEC at A&M, or does he want to just start his professional career? And
he can really catch, too.
Yep.
He could do both. I mean, he could be a catch. He's not just a bat that you put at catcher.
Very good defensively.
Yep.
And then also Brett Minnick, who Coach Seeley said was the most polished hitter that he saw evaluated in the fall from Blinn. He's a guy who can really help from the left side as well.
Yeah. Taylor Smith's going to be interesting to see how that thing shakes out. And I'm always for getting these Grayson guys. And A&M needed to load up on some JUCO guys, not just, hey, see how it all shakes out and fill in some holes like they did this summer, which is great, but go out early in advance and have all the pickings of these JUCO guys and say, we want this guy and that guy, and get them in during the fall signing class. I thought that was huge.
Very good, yeah. And they need left-handed hitters, I think, always to get those two, or to get Minnick especially.
Yep.
But and then we'll see. Like I said before, I think it's still too early to see who you're going to sweat out. Some of these guys could have great senior seasons, and then you take a guy who you thought you might not have to sweat, and he becomes a top pick. So we'll just see what happens.
The book is called All It Takes Is Everything You Got. Author Heath Clary, TexAgs contributor on the baseball beat as well, a seasoned inside one of college baseball's best programs. You can buy this online on his website, heathclary.com, HeathClary, or AggieBaseballBook.com, or you can go buy this at Aggieland Outfitters a week from Friday. What time? Do you know yet?
1 to 5.
1 to 5, he's going to be signing books. You can pick him up on site, and he'll sign it. We'll probably do another book signing with Coach Childers, I think, before the start of the baseball season. But pick it up for a Christmas present for the person in your life. Pick up one for you and one for them. Let's double up. Heath went out there, man, and self-published this sucker.
Yeah.
And so you talk about a guy that needs now the payoff. Let's get this thing bought and support a good Aggie and a good TexAgs guy who did a ton of work on this project. Thank you so much, Heath.
Thank you, Gabe.
There you go, Heath Clary. We'll take a timeout, come back with Lynn Scarborough on our Lindy's Report next. It is a Wednesday morning on TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, and a moment for Fargo's Pit Barbecue at 1701 Texas Avenue in Bryan. Right before the bend, Fargo's open Tuesday to Saturday, 11 a.m. until 7 p.m., and one of the top 50 barbecue joints in the world in recent years, according to Texas Monthly. They've recently, and in several occasions, been named top 10 in Texas, which I think is an even greater accomplishment than being top 50 in the whole world, because you know what Texas barbecue is all about. And Fargo's all about that pit flavor. You know, there's pit and there's everything else, really. Fargo's famous for that pit flavor. Now, today is the baked potato special. Chopped beef on a baked potato with all the fixings. Of course, you can get chicken, brisket, ribs, sausage, and much more all 5 days that they're open. Tomorrow is my second favorite thing at Fargo's, behind the rib tips. The pork chop special with mac and cheese, green beans, and red potatoes. That's tomorrow. Fargo's Pit Barbecue. Check them out starting at 11 o'clock Tuesday to Saturday at 1701 Texas Avenue in Bryan.